prosperity system. And those of you who, again, did not get this in your emails, if you will go to my Facebook page or look for those links to log in to the email system that's going to be sending you all this free information and free ebooks and all the training system as we continue on. It'll benefit you highly. We don't want you to miss out on that. So many of you received that already, and many of you are going to receive even more things as we keep going. And if you didn't, please log into that email system. Send me a note, and I'll make sure that you don't miss out. I'm going to quote something tonight as we start. It's from Jim Rohn, one of my first mentors in leadership. Jim Rohn, in my opinion, is one of the greatest historical figures in leadership, mentoring, self-development, and we should all find our mentors. And he was one of my first mentors in my leadership times of my life, other than my pastors and those that mentored me throughout my childhood years, my teenage years. I looked up to Jim Rohn. And this is a quote from him. "The only limitation placed on our abilities is our inability to easily recognize our unlimited nature. It takes effort." I want you to listen to how many times effort's in this. It takes effort to become aware of our staggering limitless abilities. It takes effort to become enthusiastic over a cause or an occupation. It takes effort to continue when our results, as well as our friends, tell us to give up trying. It takes effort to feel right about everything that happens, the joy as well as the sorrows of life. And it takes effort to learn to love ourselves above all others, especially when we are so consciously aware of our failures, doubts, and tragedies. It does not, however, take effort to fail. It requires little else than a slowly deteriorating attitude about our present, our future, and about ourselves. It is ironic that one of the few things in this life, over which we have total control is our own attitudes. And yet most of us live our entire life behaving as though we had no control whatsoever. By our attitude, we decide to read. By our attitude, we decide to try or to give up. By our attitude, we blame ourselves for our truth or lie, act or procrastination, advance or recede. And by our own attitude, we and we alone actually decide whether to succeed or fail. Wow. Jim Rohn. That was out of his book, The Seasons of Life. I think that sums up our topic tonight and some of the things that we're going to be discussing as we push forward and mentoring you to become a successful network marketer, not just domestically in your backyard. If that's what you want to do, I know people who have built strong, substantial, sustainable income within a circle around where they live that they could literally ride a bicycle to every person they built their team with within a 100-mile radius. Some of us on the call have built all over the world. I've been in many countries over the years, and I've had the opportunity of working with so many people. And one of the things that I have learned traveling is I've learned that egos do not build your business. Attitude does not build your business. You can be strong and still be humble. You can be strong and still have that drive to succeed with a humility that a leader can gain other people's trust and favor with. We will never understand what loyalty and what total commitment of a team is unless you first treat them with respect. And you cannot drive them by teaching them the force and the pressure and the strength behind the negativity that many people do when they get desperate to try to get to that rank. And I say that wholeheartedly. Some people, they get so stressed out because they can't reach the levels of leadership that they want to reach, or they can't maintain that level that they used to reach. We used to call those one-touch diamonds in another company. You know, you make it to diamond, you touch it one time, you qualify 1 month, and they never qualify again. Have you ever seen anyone like that where they're just trying to drive to that rank and they never qualify again? But for the rest of their entire life, they walk into the meetings and they're called diamond. And that's what they wanted, and that's what they have. Many people desire that rank, and that's okay. I want to teach you through this system how not only to acquire rank, but to sustain rank. That's why we call this the sustained prosperity system. It's not the prosperity system where most networkers in the industry, if you'll notice, some of the top income earners have gone from rich to broke, rich to poverty. We call it prosperity, sustained prosperity. Now, one of the things that you need to do before we go to our PowerPoint, and we're going to show our PowerPoint, we're going to bounce back and forth between PowerPoint and live video here. And thank you all for being on this broadcast, because this is going to help you. And this is my gift to you for these holidays. And I love this time of year. It's such a beautiful time of year. I can look down my street and see all these beautiful decorations. And I was outside a moment ago, and there was a guy walking down the sidewalk. We live in a nice gated area here, nice gated community here and near Windermere in Orlando. And a guy was literally walking down the sidewalk singing Christmas carols to himself, by himself. And he wasn't crazy. He was just a happy person. And this is a happy time of year. But yet this is a time of year that a lot of people have a lot of pressure on them. And it's one of the times of year that is rated the highest for suicides and rated the highest for stress, depression. Why is that? It's because every time there's moments, situations that people are extremely happy, those people who are not, they're looking at this and they see it in its reflection, and it causes them to remind themselves that they're not happy. So it's important that we come across in such a way as our leadership level grows. We need to understand that this is a people business. It's a relationship marketing business. We can never grow our business until we understand people a little better, and start with treating everyone the way you'd want to be treated yourself. Nurture people, don't pressure them, and take them to the top. The first thing I want to say is you must have goals. And this is one of your first notes that you need to take down tonight, is you need to have goals. Several years ago, there was a study at Harvard University, some graduates that had graduated from Harvard Business School. They wanted to discover how many of them were achieving their goals. The study revealed that overwhelmingly 83% had no goals at all. They just depended on their own ability, their own charisma, their own leadership ability, and their education, because they graduated from Harvard Business School. 83% had no goals. 14% had specific goals, but they weren't written down. And still their earnings were 300% of those 83% that had no goals at all. Did you hear that? Now listen to this. 3%, and we keep talking about these 3%. It's always 3% that are the big winners, the ones that make it the biggest, because those 3% are the ones who drive it and stay on track. And the key is increase that 3% to a higher percentage in your organization. 3% of these Harvard Business School graduates, they didn't just have goals, they had written goals. They were written down, they were specific, and their earnings were approximately 10 times than the 83% that did not have goals. Same education, same school, same professors, same classes, same degrees. But yet, the one simple practice of writing down their goals and being specific with their practices increased their average income 1,000%, 10 times greater than the 83% that had no goals at all. Now, we've been talking about not doing things in your head. I'm proof of this. If you were to see what I have in front of me right now, you were to see all the different materials that I have in front of me, and a lot of these materials are what I have written out myself and typed out myself over the years. A lot of materials. Some of the materials I sent to you just in the email form is right here. And this is word for word of some of the things that every brand partner and distributor and representative of whatever company you're with should gain knowledge from as they're starting out as a new distributor or brand partner in your organization. It's not possible for someone to be successful if you procrastinate and you do not get someone started on their training immediately. Any of you that's listening on this call, if I were you, I would bring every person to these calls as quickly as I could. In fact, what I tell everyone, do a getting started training. And that's what this is that I emailed to you. It's a getting started manual. I tell everyone, do not hesitate. Don't procrastinate. Do a getting started training with your organization within the first 24 to 48 hours of them becoming a brand partner in your organization. That's when they're most excited, they're most focused, and that's when their belief level is at the top. If you're going to wait until they're confused and they've already tried to think things out themselves because they have no direction, then what you're going to have is a contaminated mind filled with all these types of thoughts that they can do everything themselves because no one is telling them to do it. They've just invested into their package. They spent a lot of money, and now they want to get started, and they're waiting on you. Don't allow that to happen. Procrastination goes two different ways. Either procrastination is because you are not taking the getting started training to your newbies, or your newbies are procrastinating because they're not being proactive. You have to take it in your hands and move forward. Now, obviously, I've been in the industry for a long time. I've been in several companies over the years. I've made good money over the years. I've done well. And I can tell you that the last thing that I would want is procrastination to be a factor in my organization. Some of you are thinking about only yourself, but think about all the different people you have in your organization. Let's say you're a small group. Say you built your team up to about 100 people. The average procrastination is somewhere between 2 and 5 and 6 weeks. So let's look at the average of about 4 weeks. If you have 100 people that procrastinate of getting started out correctly for 4 weeks, they procrastinate 4 weeks of doing anything correctly. You now have, times 100, you have over 400 weeks of procrastination. That's over 3 years. It's over 2 years, over a year, whenever. How many years? Well, there's 52 weeks in a year, 400 weeks. Gosh, that's like 7 years of procrastination when you get to thinking about it. That's a lot. Can you afford that? Can you honestly afford to have 7 years of procrastination within a team of 100 people? I don't think so. And what we're teaching you is how to annihilate procrastination. Immediately, as soon as someone becomes a brand partner in your organization, train them to do simple behaviors that will take them to the top, okay? Take them to the top. One of the first things that I do, I don't procrastinate with it. First things is I ask them, and I know that you've heard this before, put your list together and let's go through your list. Let's find out who's your chicken list. Who are the people who intimidate you? Who are the people with the most influence? because maybe you feel intimidated to go through that list, but we don't, because we don't know them. We're going to help you. We work as a team, but we're going to work as a team to help you build that relationship. So this is a relationship marketing business. I want to share my screen with you here for just a moment. Very quickly, I'm going to reiterate some things that we've talked about over the last few weeks. And I'm going to take you back to help you get started correctly. This is very important. Let me share my screen. Hold on one moment. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to take you down to this image right here. Prosperity follow-up, establishing trust in the first 4 steps is very important. I'm going to breeze through this very quickly, so please take notes. If you need more information on this, we're going to be sending this to you on follow-up workbooks as we go along. Step number 1 should be a pre-approach. It should never be a hard sell. It should never take someone into a corner and pressure them, because when you back someone up into a corner and be a salesperson, they're going to be scared of that, they're going to be fearful of that, or they're going to be annoyed with you, and they're not going to say yes, they're going to say no. And there's only 3 answers that you're going to get in each step of follow-up. And their first step is building your relationship, building your introduction. This is extremely important. You're going to either get a yes, a no, or a maybe. And the key here is to get this person to be a maybe, not a yes. The more you push for a yes, the quicker you're going to get a no. The more you try to push for a maybe and you keep them in that contemplation stage, the better off you're going to be and the better rate you're going to have of getting them to a yes instead of them feeling intimidated and it goes toward a no. And if you push them too hard to a yes, they're going to say no. You're going to have a higher rate of people saying no, and you're going to feel rejection. You're going to be programmed that this business doesn't work, that your business doesn't make things happen, that something's wrong with your product or something's wrong with your business, when all it is you're pushing too hard and you're trying to get a yes too quick and it goes toward a no. So the importance here is to go toward a maybe. Then you go to step number 2. Every one of these steps must be a tool. Your first step is the tool is building that relationship, opening up that door, opening up that conversation. It is not to hand off a lot of materials, a bunch of DVDs. It's not to place product and smudge it all over them or put liquid down their mouth or whatever else you're going to do to try to convince them that you're going to save their life with your product. I know you're crazy about your products. Everyone on this call is. Everyone is established people on this call, I'm sure. Every one of you have a desire for everyone to use your product and be just as excited as you are. But guess what? It doesn't happen with the first step. Don't go there. Build that relationship. This is all about building trust. The first 4 steps is building trust. So every one of the tools must be built around building trust. The second tool may be sharing pictures. It may be sending a video. It may be sending them some type of a sample of your products, or just having coffee with them and getting a little deeper into the conversation of what they do and what you do so that they can understand more about the business that you're in. But it does not need to be deep. It does not need to be hardcore. And every one of these steps, again, have a yes, no, or a maybe. And again, we're keeping them in that contemplation stage so that we do not lose them until the trust is built. We can go through this first 4 steps very quickly as we work with people, but it's not going to happen within one day unless it's someone that's your best friend and they're going to sign up no matter what. And most of the time, you know, your best friend is not going to build your business with you anyway, because they're going to sign up too quick to build trust within your company or trust on your products. And that's why sometimes people's best friend that they try to get signed up too quickly is not going to perform. Make sure, even with your best friends and your family, that you go through these steps of building not just the trust in you, because they already trust you, but build the trust in your products and build trust in your company as well. As you share information, be soft with it. Do not be hard with it. Now, we all know that overcoming rejection is a big deal. Many people are rejected because they get no's too quickly. And I've seen literally people in tears. They'll cry and they'll think, no one takes me serious. And it's not that. It's not the case. They're not supposed to take you serious. When they start taking you serious, it's because they trust you enough to take you serious. Why should someone take you serious unless you have built that relationship and that trust? I heard someone say just recently, in fact, I read it on one of their training manuals, on one of their training materials that they sent out. Someone was telling me, and I think they may even be on this call, it's like, I don't worry about building a relationship with someone unless they buy from me. I'm not going to take my time to build anything with them and to be friends with them, or maybe even build a relationship with that person or establish culture with them unless they first commit with me to buy something from me. Now, that's totally backwards. I'm going to tell you, that may work for a salesperson, but it doesn't work in network marketing long term. It's amazing how many people that train in network marketing that have never been able to be successful, but they're good trainers. Did you hear that? What we're doing here is we're gifting this to you. We're sharing this with you because we've done it. We've been there. We've made lots of money and we built big organizations over the years. And the thing is, our team has made good money. Our team has been able to establish very good securities over the years. Why is this? Because we're established on a system of training. It's not a system of ego. It's not a system of driving sales. It's a system of building people and expanding a duplicable system that causes your team to duplicate. It's simple, and that's as simple as it may be. And you hear the word simple a lot of times there, and I want that to be embedded into your mind. The definition of duplication: to lead a large group of people to do a few simple actions over a sustained period of time. I want you to memorize that, because I teach my team to memorize that. It's something that I made up years ago, and I've stayed with this because there's so much said in that simple paragraph. The definition of duplication: to lead a large group of people to do a few simple actions over a sustained period of time. If everyone is doing the same actions, there's synergy that's going to take place. There's harmony that's going to take place, and everyone is going to be doing the same things, and that causes everything to fall into what I call a pattern of behaviors. Natural behaviors. It's like when you first use a screwdriver, you may not be that good with it. It might feel awkward in your hand, but after you've done it a few times, it becomes a natural response. After you realize that many of you know how to ride a bicycle, when you first learn how to ride a bicycle, it's awkward and it's very imbalanced. But after you've rode that bicycle enough and you gain your balance and the natural processes start taking over, you don't even have to think about it. If the system is consistent, a system can't be built on the promotions. The promotions are a tool. The system is not a promotion. The promotions that companies have are not a system. They're a promotion. I want you to hear that. A company has promotions, or a company has videos, or a company has meetings that they have established, or different types of things within their company. Those are tools. Those are higher source dynamics. In each of these steps, you use one of those tools, and you need to distinctly make sure that you define in your team which tools to use. Step 1, step 2, all the way through step number 15. Overcome the rejection by not pushing people to a yes. If you do push them to a yes, you're going to get a no very fast. Excuse me. Everyone knows this guy, Simon Cowell. We went over this just a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to reiterate that too much because some of you have already seen this, but I want to show this to you. Rejection is a huge deal. Those of you that's seen American Idol and some of these other shows, they walk up on stage. This guy is probably the most intimidating creature on TV. But doesn't this guy depict what goes through the minds of a typical brand partner when they're approaching someone who is a winner? When you're approaching a winner, sometimes to some people, walking up to a winner and talking to them about their business, it's very intimidating. It's not easy for them. It's scary because they're afraid this person is going to tell them no too quickly or just brush them off. That's why we don't do it as a salesperson mentality, but we do it as a relationship marketing business. And we're going to divide this up. You either approach this person with fear. Maybe this person intimidates you. Maybe you feel rejection before you even walk up to this person because already 10 other people have rejected you because you've been pushing too hard and you've been getting too many no's. And already before you walk up to people now, you're programmed to get that no. And obviously you're walking up to that person sweating bullets. Your attitude, remember us talking about the attitude, your attitude is wrong, so you immediately believe that you're going to get rejected. So that's exactly what you do. You feel insecure, your insecurity levels are going to go up, your security levels are going to go down, and you now have failed because you didn't reach the point that you wanted to. Well, you walked in the door the wrong way. But if you walk in the door with the attitude of this is an opportunity, this person is a leader, and I need this leader, and I want to partner with this leader. I'm not going to approach that person as if I want them to work for me. I approach people, just like I was talking about Mario earlier, I approach people and ask them to partner with me. I look at this as a challenge. So when I'm approaching someone, I look at it as a challenge. I'm putting them into my follow-up system. I'm going to make sure that I make notes. This person can be a great leader. This person is a great opportunity for me. This person may be a challenge, but I know if I can win them, I know that they could have a lot of influence on a lot of people compared to someone who is not a challenge. I'm going to win everyone, even the person you least expect that could be a great leader for you could bring on the greatest leaders, because sometimes those people that you underestimate, those are the kind of people sometimes that can approach some of the best leaders ever, because maybe they're not operating on that ego trip. Maybe they're not operating on that salesperson mentality. Maybe they actually are operating on integrity. Have you ever heard that word before, integrity? And when you build a team with integrity at the top, it's going to flow all the way to the bottom. So I look at this person as a person of influence. And people of influence have the ability to build a strong organization. I look at this as something that I want to gain approval with. Now, look at these steps. They're going to continue on. But 20% of the people are so intimidated and have so much fear and rejection, they never get to step number 2. 80% never go to step number 2. Our goal, remember I talked about writing your goals down. Jim Rohn's quote at the beginning of this session. Our goal is to increase the percentages of each step so that you can get to a higher level of people in your organization that are following up beyond step number 1. So if you train this within your organization and they know already that there is intimidation in step number 1 and they need to change their behaviors and change their actions, you're going to find out that that 20% that goes to step number 2 is going to be risen up to 40 or 50% very quickly just by the knowledge of what we've just shared tonight, because they're going to understand immediately that 80% drop out at step number 1 because of rejection. And they're going to understand how to annihilate rejection by not being a salesperson, but to break the ice and be gentle, be soft with the first 4 steps as you're establishing trust before you move on to establishing commitment. Now, step 3, step 4. What I always do on step 3 is I try to engage into a 3-way call. A 3-way call is probably the most dynamic, effective tool that you can use in network marketing, because it brings validation to who you are as you bring the person that is upline to you or the person that's a partner with you on the call with your new prospect just to say hello, hang out. It needs to be a good social call. It does not need to be a driving sales call. If you have someone in your organization that you do 3-way calls with, you need to practice 2 different 3-way calls. Step number 3 and step number 7 are 3-way calls. Step number 3 and step number 7. The first three-way call at step number 3 is a social call. It is not a driving sales call. Step number 7, you've already built a relationship and trust in the first 4 steps. Now you go into step 5 through 8 and you're building commitment. And by the time that you get to step number 7, that three-way call is to talk more about the business and to answer the questions that these people may have that you've been talking to and sharing information with. Step number 4 is obviously whatever tools it may be, taking them to a market party, taking them to some kind of regional event, taking them to something that is spectacular so it drives that belief and trust as you take them into step number 5, where commitment is starting to be established. Establishment of commitment is extremely important in step 5 through 8. 80% of the people in the network marketing industry that join network marketing, they join because of steps 5 through 8. 80% of the sales take place in 5 through 8. However, only about 10% or less of your organization, even if you have a good system, will make it to step number 5 and follow up. 10% or less. 3%, here's that 3% again. 3% of your organization is going to work it like you and stay with that person until step number 8. 3%. 3% will make 80% of the signups. Now you know why 3% make the most money in a network marketing company. It's true. It's because they're dedicated, they're consistent, they do not stop, and they keep going. I've seen companies that are 3 and 4 and 5 years old, and you'll have a leader that'll rank up in the first year, maybe the first 2 years, and then they'll start floating. And when they start floating, that next 2 years, immediately they're going to start seeing a tapering off, and they're going to see a decline in their leadership below them, because the leadership below them, even if they haven't been in more than 6 months, are going to follow the behaviors of the leadership above. And you are an example of which others follow. It's a duplicable concept within network marketing. We're a duplicable concept. Whatever you do, your team is going to do, and they're not usually going to do it above what you've done. So you need to excel in your dedication and your commitment and drive it and drive it home. Don't drive it as a salesperson. Don't drive it as someone who is trying to grind, because we don't need grinders. Drive one thing: simplicity. Drive dedication to a system so that you eventually have so many leaders under you that are teaching the system. Eventually you can kick your heels in the sand and you can enjoy a residual income that will never go away. If you do this correctly, you can take off 6 months, hike a trail, come back, and your team is going to be bigger than it was when you left it. If you do it as a grinder and a salesperson mentality, and some of you know who you are on this call, you know what you are, you know what you do, you know how you do it. If you're a grinder and you've been forced to sell, the best way you can understand this, and the best way you will know this, if you left your team right now for 6 months for a 6-month vacation and didn't speak to a single person in that group, you already know that most of your team would be gone by the time you get back, because most of you are like Superman or Superwoman underneath your clothes. You make too many people depend on you, and you cause everyone to think that you're the savior of their problems and you correct every situation, or you're going to work their team if they don't, because you need that volume to keep going. So you're in there to try to make up the difference when you have a leader that doesn't do what they're supposed to do, because maybe they're not trained correctly, or maybe they're just lazy, or they're not doing what they should be doing, and you don't want people not engaging. If everyone in the organization is engaged in the system, you won't have to do that. It's amazing to me, and I'm going to use this as an example here in just a moment. We're going to talk about this system, but I'm going to pull away from the sharing the screen, because I want to talk to you face to face for a moment. What is very important here and very clear here is we need to understand the power of giving up authority, the strength to create leadership, This is not a salesperson that we're trying to create. We don't want to create salespeople. I know we're pushing products. I know that we're making sure that products are delivered and people are using our products and they're excited about our products. But our number one product, our number one source is people. Our number one thing is not the product. It's people. The company is the vehicle. The product is the gasoline going into the vehicle. The most precious cargo you've got is the driver and the passengers, and that's you and your team. You're building an organization. And if you're going to facilitate that team and try them, the best way that you can equip them and the best favor you can give them is to train them to be a leader. Lead the leaders and let the leaders lead. Don't be Superwoman under that dress. Don't be Superman underneath that suit. It's amazing to me. I've seen it so many years. You'll have this lady in an organization. She's a strong leader. And all of a sudden, this person down in their downline will call up and say, oh, I've got this energy bar that just was mailed to me, and I ordered the energy bars, but I ordered the chocolate ones, and they sent me the vanilla with the sprinkles on it, and I didn't order that, and I need you to help me. Have you ever had anybody like that in your organization? Well, those of you that have the Superwoman cape on underneath your dress, you're the ones who built a culture, jumping in and helping everyone. Let me call customer support for you, and I'll help you get this taken care of because I don't want you upset because I don't want to lose your volume. You ever been guilty of that? I never will forget. And Mario was with me in another company, and I never will forget this. This actually happened. I was sitting in Utah in the office. This lady calls me. She sends me an email actually first, and she asked me to call her. And one of our products was a laundry detergent. We had so many products, and one of them was a laundry detergent. So she sent me this email asking about some ingredients in laundry detergent because she says someone had an allergy and she wanted to check into it. Well, I was just like, I know I've trained this group well. What's going on here? I checked in my organization, and this lady was 16 levels deep in my organization, 16 levels. And it wasn't a two-legged or a three-legged structure. When I say she was 16 levels deep, and I had 212 legs in the company. Not 2 legs, not 3 legs. I had 212 legs in the company, and she was 16 levels deep below me. Now, when you have a large organization, it is impossible to wear that Superwoman cape or that Superman cape and to fix everyone's problems. So you need to train everyone so that you're not doing that. This is what I did, and you're going to love this. I looked into the organization 16 levels deep, and I made a list of every person between me and that person. I started with the person first level to me, and I said, let's stay with this because I'm going to make a point. I want you to tell this one, to tell this one, to tell this one, all the way down 16 levels. I want it to pass from person to person. I want 16 emails in a chain to eventually get to that 16th person that asked the question. And I'm going to use this as an example. In fact, I'm using it as an example right now. And that email finally got to that person that said, you need to call customer support. And if customer support can't answer your question, call your immediate upline so that they can help you with this problem, and they will help you. Now, I hope that doesn't sound harsh, but it made a point, and I involved 16 people to make that point. Was it worth it? I could have fixed the problem very fast. I was sitting in the headquarters of the company when I received this email. Mario was just around the corner. Now, if we're going to build a large sustainable business, it's impossible to do it unless everyone is on the same system in your organization. If you have everyone on the same system within the organization, I've built over in Japan for many years, and one of the things that I can tell you about the team over there in Japan is they will stay religiously on the system, and if anyone falls outside that system, they will annihilate them from the group. They will push them out of the group. They will not let them within the group to contaminate the group with another system. It's just not going to be possible. That's why we've been able to build such large organizations over in Asia and some of the other countries, is because people are staying on a system. It causes people who are professional network marketers to be successful because the professional network marketers are not going on their own recognizance of their talent and their charisma, but they're going on the professional success of building a leadership factory with their organization. Now, what does that mean? I was just telling Mario a while ago, I said, okay, I just open up my file here. You know what this is right here? This is a list of people that I keep up with. There's about somewhere around about 60,000 people here on this list. Not only that, but I have a DVD with probably a little over 650,000 people on my list. And as I keep these lists going, is exactly what you're going to be taught to do over these next few sessions. I want to teach you how to build your list, how to follow up with your list, and how not to lose track of your activities as you're building your follow-up. You can never be successful if you're doing it in your head. Remember, 83% of the Harvard Business School graduates tried to do it in their head with no goals. 14% did it with goals but not written down. 3% wrote their goals down and did 10 times more income than the other Harvard graduates with the same education. We're going to get very extensive with our training and our mentoring over the next few months. We're going to establish mentors of mentors. This is a leadership factory. It's not enough for me to do the training. We're going to train people to train others. We're going to be announcing throughout 2016 some workshops that we're going to be doing in different cities in the United States, Latin America, and also in Asia. We're going to be inviting people to learn how to train others to succeed with a system. There's an algorithm here for you to understand and understand the depths of it. We can't do it in just 45 minutes here and 45 minutes there like we're doing right now. It takes time to go over it week after week after week, and we have 2 weeks of gap with Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and then we're going to be jumping back on it on January the 7th. But one of the things I can tell you very clearly, if you want to make 2016 your greatest year ever, I want you to build your system around an organizational skill that works. And we've proven it over and over and over. Just like we just opened up Korea about 4 months ago. And I know some people, they bring big teams over and then they leave and they, it's like a rotation. We're still adding 3,000 people a month to our team in Korea. You know what that is? That's called duplication. That's called success. That's called doing it right. I'm not doing it. I have good leaders. I have a peaceful life. We're going to do the same thing in Japan. We're going to do the same thing in Colombia. We're going to do the same thing wherever we go. Because we believe in leaders and we believe in people. It's not enough for egos to control everything. I'm not going to be that ego. I don't care if I ever get another award on a stage in my entire life again. I just don't care about that. It's not my game. What I care about is the success of my organization the success of my team and how that we can help people go to the top and help them change their lives. Help women in countries that are not treated like anything other than a piece of property. Help people in countries that their average income is just a fraction of what some of us in the United States considered minimum wage. I've been to some of the most backwoods, back areas of so many countries over the years, and helping even to open up countries that have never seen network marketing before. And it's a pleasure of mine just to be able to get into a buggy and horses pull us and wagons as we fellowship with each other and we build relationships with each other that last for a lifetime. If you truly want to take your business to the top, learn this system. Get yourself to a place of full-time sustainable income and travel the world and be on vacation full-time. And when someone asks you what you do, tell them, I work as someone that's on vacation. I'm on vacation and I make my living wherever I'm at. That's what a true full-time network marketer does. They're on vacation everywhere, building relationships with people that they've never met before while they're enjoying their life. You can be that person. Mario, I'm going to turn it back over to you as we come to a close this evening. Thank you all so much for this night together, and hope all of you have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas from me and my family. From here in sunny, right now it's dark, Orlando, Florida.
But it's warm over there. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
Thank you for being on the call tonight and for sharing with us all this valuable information. And just as a reminder, a few things, that this is a series of webinars that Jeff will be doing, and it's open to everyone. Doesn't matter what company you're with, or it's open to everyone. So please invite your groups, please invite your leaders. The next call that we will be doing will be on January 7th, and it will be consistent every Thursday from there on out. We're going to skip 2 weeks because of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, but we'll begin again consistently on January 7th. Also, as a reminder, for those that were on the call last week, webinar, you should have received the workbook that Jeff is referring to. For those new this week, we will send that out also. One thing that we're requesting is that you write a testimonial and you tell us how you like the webinar. And we would really appreciate that, and we'll get that workbook out to you. But once again, thank you all for joining us from all over. And thank you, Jeff, for tonight and for sharing with us all the valuable information.
Thank you, Mario. And by the way, Mario, we do have another webinar starting in about 30 minutes or so.
That's right.
And that's on. We have a Spanish version that's starting in 30 minutes from now. We've been doing this training in Spanish and Korean, and we have a team of Japanese leaders that are going through the training as well here in the United States, and soon to be doing it in Japan. It's all being translated in so many different languages right now. I'm excited about what's going to happen as we move into the European countries and everything else that we're going to be doing with the training. Mario is the Spanish business in our organization, and the guy is just phenomenal. We have some great leaders in Mexico and other parts of the Latin American market. So thank you so much, Mario, and we're all going to sign off, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
If you want to get on the Spanish version, if Mario, you'll send me a link, I'll post it on my Facebook for people to be able to get into the Spanish call if you'd like me to do that.
Absolutely, and that begins in about a half hour officially, the Spanish call. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Very good.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.